Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Alex Vines. I'm the Director of the Africa Programme at Chatham House, and I'm chairing today's meeting on Nigeria 2023 elections, security, economic and foreign policy imperatives. This meeting is fully on the record. It's being live streamed, so welcome to you. Those of you who are on our Zoom platform, but also on Facebook Live. There is also media in the room. I'm delighted to be chairing today Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Welcome back to Chatham House. As you know, Mr. Tinubu is no stranger to this institute. In July 2011, he was here talking about democracy in Nigeria and the rebirth of opposition. He's now back representing Party of Government of Nigeria. So you can see the evolution that has taken place. Some of you in the room I know. I met last time around 2015 when the now President Buhari came to Chatham House. Mr. Tinubu was also part of that delegation. This is the first of a series of meetings that we're doing at Chatham House in the run-up to Nigeria's 2023 elections. In April this year, we had the Right Honourable Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker of the Representatives. Gbajabiamila. He spoke at Chatham House on Nigeria's electoral system. And I think some of you will be pleased to know that on the 17th of January next year, 2023, Chatham House will host an event with the INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu. So please, if you're interested, do register and watch that. We have invitations out to 3 other presidential candidates for this election in Nigeria. So Atiku Abubakar, the candidate for the People's Democratic Party, we have issued an invitation to him. As you know, some of you, he spoke here in 2018 about Nigeria's economy. He is no stranger to Chatham House. An invitation has also been issued to Peter Obi, the leader for the Labour Party. He is also considering that invitation. And finally, we have also invited Rabiu Kwankwaso, the new Nigeria's People's Party candidate. So we do want to be equitable and impartial here at this institute. And as you can understand and see, not only are we interested in the electoral processes and systems and checks and balances in Nigeria, but we also want to hear from potential Nigerian leadership. So that is our plan. It is also part of our work is looking at the mechanics of elections in Nigeria. So I was in Abuja myself in July, where we are involved with a project called Social Norms and Governance in Nigeria. We published a paper on vote selling behavior and democratic dissatisfaction in Nigeria. That's part of a long-standing project that we've partnered with Nigerian research institutes and universities. That paper is freely available online to read, so please look at the Chatham House website. So with no more ado, I just want to again welcome you all and to remind you that this meeting is fully on the record. Please do put your phones on silent. We are being live streamed. And it is, again, my greatest pleasure to be chairing this meeting with Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is going to talk about Nigeria's 2023 elections, security, economic and foreign policy imperatives. As you know, he is Governor of Lagos State, and he is the presidential candidate of APC. We're very privileged that on his international trip, this is his first stop. I understand that you have very much a valid US visa and will be going to the United States after this. So with no more ado, welcome to Chatham House, and I hand over to you. Please.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Alex. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, my governors from Lagos State, from Nigeria, I thank you for coming. You are not strangers to me. There are some strangers to this democracy. I would like to begin by expressing my delight at being here once again to share my thoughts with this distinguished audience. The last time I was here, in 2011, it was to share my view on the nascent formation of a Nigerian mega opposition party, the All Progressive Congress, APC. The party went on to win an historic victory against the ruling PDP in February 2015. It has been in office for almost 8 years. Over the years, Chatham House has carved a niche for itself and built a reputation as a globally admired, respected platform for intellectual engagement on different issues of contemporary interest to people around the world. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is time again for Nigeria to go to the polls to elect the next set of leaders. The national election, which will take place in the first quarter of 2023, can be considered as especially significant in Nigeria's quest for democratic consolidation. The 2023 election will be taking place on the back of almost 25 years of unbroken civilian rule. That's a record. It is a record for the country which is worth entrenching and celebrating. Every election, wherever it is held, is important to the people or entity directly concerned. It is also important to the global democracy community as well. Equally, there are also countries whose elections, on account of their weight and influence, carry wider implications beyond their immediate geographical boundaries. Nigeria is one of such countries. One area where the government of the All Progressive Congress, APC, distinguished itself is election management. Today, elections are more credible than ever since the return of democracy since 1999. Recent statutory engagements, enactment, and allowing the use of technology, the tools for the accreditation of voters and transmission of results, will deliver the fairest and freest election in our nation's history. This is particularly important because the next president of Nigeria will have some tough choices to make and will not be able to do so with questionable electoral mandate. Ballot security and election violence are areas where there is cause for concern. There is an emerging trend of attacks against the personnel and infrastructure of the Independent National Electoral Commission in part of the country. At the same time, political conversations on social media have become more laced with violent rhetorics and threats of violence, retaliation against those perceived as opposing partitions. I stand firmly against all forms of electoral violence and intimidation. Having spent most of my career in political opposition, I have long fought against electoral malpractice, any attempt to extinguish the legitimacy of choice of voters. I will continue to do so, I promise. I hereby urge all my fellow contestants in this election to do the same. Let the sovereign will of the people decide the path of our nation. And let this election be determined by voters, making their choice freely rather than domineering intimidation and trouble some few. Indeed, there's more than a passing interest in Nigeria. Politics generally and upcoming elections in particular for several reasons. For one, as Africa's most populous country and the continent's largest economy, it is generally acknowledged that fortunes of the African continent, and indeed the black race, is tied directly to the health of Nigeria. Also, the Nigerian elections of 2023 are coming up at a time when the country's immediate geographical neighborhood of West Africa and Central Africa is undergoing serious political turmoil that has manifested itself in the incursion of the military to power in a number of countries. In spite of legitimate concerns being expressed by observers, Nigerians are resolutely committed to democracy, regardless of their political differences. At the best of times, and with reference to its foreign policy orientation since independence in 1960, and since the end of its civil war in 1970, Nigeria has always crafted its domestic national security and economic development policies with some strategic foreign policy imperatives in mind. There is a close connection between domestic development and national security. On one hand, to prosper at home in peace and stability, Nigeria needs to uphold its national security, unity, territorial integrity, sovereign independence, and safety, as well as well-being of its people. On the other hand, to secure itself, Nigeria not only requires to build and enhance the capacity of its armed forces, but also the welfare and well-being of its citizens. Though a commitment to the promotion of human security, the country has attempted through government and other successive governments interface national security and economic development as two sides of the same coin, focusing equally on food sufficiency and sustainable development. Nigeria shares direct land borders with 4 African countries, with whose people Nigeria also share historical and cultural affinities. This effectively means that the relationship between Nigeria and its immediate neighbors is such that it's more than just a geographical expression. To be fully secured at home, Nigeria has always believed it must be the brother's keeper. It was out of this understanding that African Premier Regional Economic Community, the ECOWAS, was established in 1975. Uniquely, ECOWAS had embedded in its mandate the promotion of regional economy integration as good in its own right, and in addition understood sub-regional peace and security. I am convinced, as I am sure of most of us are, that the broad principle that enabled successive Nigerian government to interface development and security and established an organic link between the national security and economic development with regional peace and prosperity is both impeccable and remains relevant. It is an approach which I commit myself to upholding and advancing, I promise you. The challenges which have manifested themselves with regard to our national and regional development and security trajectories are very well known to all of us here. Radical extremist violence, terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, human trafficking, trafficking in weapons, trafficking in drugs, climate change, resource-driven conflicts, etc., etc. Mostly manifesting initially in a national problem. These challenges evolved over time into transborder and multinational challenges. As a people, we are still counting the cost of challenges which different and armed criminals groups are posing to Nigeria and regional development. We know thousands of lives have been lost and continue to be wasted. We know that various infrastructure assets built at a huge cost have been destroyed in deliberate act of reckless vandalism. We see the thousands of people who have been internally displaced at home or forced into refugee camps abroad. With farming activities disrupted, we have seen shortages of food items and food price inflation that are further undermining human security. I can go on and on in enumerating the costs that have been and are still being inflicted on mass of the people by the crisis of insecurity. To respond meaningfully to this content and to redress the many indications arising from them, we must begin by reminding ourselves of the old dictum: foreign policy is but a continuation of domestic policy. As a first step, we must recalibrate domestic policy in order to revamp the foundation on which our need to pursue human security rests. At one level, this will mean the pursuit with renewed vigor of growth-promoting employment creating and poverty eradication policies at home, as outlined in my renewed Hope 23. That is the action plan for a better Nigeria as adopted by my political party. The present administration has invested heavily in agriculture, providing loans and expanding the country's total area of cultivated land. We will build on this, but our focus will be on using technology and expertise to accelerate growth and development by providing the critical infrastructure necessary to achieve the commodity transformation in the agricultural value chain. Roads, rail, access to ports, the storage and infrastructure are what we require to radically transform the agricultural sector and increase its value to the nation. Provided this be the area of our focus so that the full potential of our agroeconomy can be achieved and we can reap the benefits in jobs, improved economy, opportunities, and increased prosperity. Fixing the perennial redo of energy supply is another priority. There's no version of the world where Nigerians' ambition for self can be achieved without solving the problem of how to provide energy to homes and businesses across the country. It is time to recognize that the centralized approach to energy policy infrastructure is not an optimal arrangement, and it is unlikely to improve by mere tinkering around the sides. The federal government, as regulator, an operator, and the price fixer, is a broken model. We are sure to fix this, and we are determined to do so, I promise you. We have privatized the power distribution in Nigeria and generation to a certain degree. What we need to do going forward is to improve the enabling environment and further reform the legal regulatory framework to attract more private investment in the sector, as we have experienced in the telecom industry. My belief that the private sector is the engine of economic progress is evident and documented. However, fundamental flaws with the basic design of our national economy imperil the private sector from playing the role it ought to and adding the value it is capable of doing. In this instance, the government must act as a catalyst. We shall do this on all fronts. We will address the conflict between monetary and fiscal policies. Budgeting will be based upon the projected spending level needed to push the real annual growth rate above 7%. We will reduce the unemployment rate so that we can double the economy in 10 years. At another level, we must learn to make foreign policy work better for our domestic, social, economic, and political priorities. To do so, our foreign policy apparatus will need to be renewed to take full advantage of global initiatives and processes that work for us and tally with our domestic priorities. In this instance, I applaud the outcome of the COP27 that recently ended in Egypt, in acknowledging the legitimate claim of Global South on climate action. In accepting adaptation and energy transition principles, including the treatment of gas as a transition fuel, we work more on this. We will work to accelerate investment in gas production, and we are committed to enhancing domestic and global energy security. Furthermore, beyond what we do nationally, we must also become much bolder as Africans in our effort at regional and continental integration and security. In this regard, we are fully committed to the African Union's Agenda 2063 for continental transformation. Amidst the changes taking place in the global order, the primary duty of leadership in Nigeria, and I dare say all Africa, is how within a vision of national development and security that is human-centered, not foreign policy that is crafted to fit the priorities of rebirth and accelerated progress. This is the task to which my colleague and I have committed ourselves as part of a broader project of leveraging our national assets and natural endowment to nurture and to project a renewed Nigeria that will be responsive, and respected driver of prosperity and harmony in Africa and around the world. I am confident that the Nigerian people will go to the polls in a few short months and give me their mandate. I'm ready to lead and govern the country. I will return here to interact with you when the elections are over. I will come, not with a long list of priorities for the future, but with a plan for the collaboration in the best interests of the country. I love the country I love and dedicate myself to for a lifetime. I hope you will receive me then as gracious as you have today. Nigeria is part of the global community, ready to accelerate its growth and committed to democracy, freedom, and understanding around the world. When we stick to it, democracy is not easy to manage, to promote. We have seen challenges around and across the world, but we are up to the task. Thank you.
Please. We can sit down. Hello. This is democracy, and we have half an hour for some proper conversation now, including some questions, both from inside the hall here, but we have many thousands of people watching us on live stream. So welcome if you're on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Mr. Tinubu, I'm going to take questions in threes, so please just, we'll keep track of them, but so we get reasonable a number of questions in. So first of all, there's a very long hand at the back with a pen that is up, and it's the gentleman there. There's a microphone coming to you. Please introduce yourself. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Patrick Smith from Africa Confidential. Mr. Governor, welcome to London. This week, the Central Bank of Nigeria tweeted that the NNPC has not remitted 1 kobo of oil revenues in the past 6 months at a time when Brent crude, I think, is above 80 a barrel, heading upwards. Some would say something is going badly wrong with NNPC. Some would blame it on the organized theft of Nigeria's oil, as much as 400,000 barrels a day, by colluding local and international companies and rogue officers in the security services. What is your solution to this very pressing problem?
Thank you very much. As you remember, Chatham House produced a report some years ago, and your current president described it about blood oil when he was here, President Buhari. So the lady just there, please, yes, you, yeah, madam, please go ahead. Second question.
Right, can I sit or stand?
Stand up, then people can see you, please.
Right, good
Thank
afternoon all. Your Excellency, wonderful. The question I wanted to ask, you have touched on briefly. My name, first of all, is Baroness Tinubu Davis Kensington. I'm a Nigerian. You've touched on security, very important issue in Nigeria. But you've not told us how you're going to manage this. We'd like you to tell us how you will manage security in Nigeria. And second part of my question, there's loads of kidnapping of women and girls in Nigeria, rape of our young children in Nigeria. Can you tell us, Your Excellency, how this will be managed? Thank you.
Thank you very much for being very precise. Mr. Tinubu, we had many questions coming in live stream about how you're going to combat terrorism and violence against women, including from Bolupi Omosori. So the gentleman right here on the corner, yes, you, sir. There's a microphone there. Please go ahead. Please be, no long speech. We don't have time. So put your phone down. You're an intelligent gentleman. I know you can ask it straight.
Well, my name is Odiana Dominic Matthew. Thank you, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, for taking this opportunity to come and speak to us. You may know that I was one of your beneficiaries, even though I grew up in Lagos. But I was never a native, but I was granted the opportunity to work in Lagos State, even though I was from a different state. So that, tells me about how your policy is likely to be. But my question is this, because having worked for 10 years, there as a social development worker and youth worker during your administration in Lagos State, before coming here to qualify as a solicitor, practicing here in the UK, I'm more concerned about the young people.
Can you?
What program do you have for our young people? As you know, most political parties benefit from they benefit from the goodwill of young people.
Okay.
And so have you got plans, that will generate training, appointments,
thank you.
and also job security?
Okay, thank you so much. So what are your plans for youth, young people? If you would like to answer the questions, Mr. Tinubu. Please, if we can keep quiet and one conversation here. Thank you. Go ahead.
Let me once demonstrate here. One of those philosophers and one of the doctrine that I believe firmly in is teamship. unbreakable team. To demonstrate that, I will choose the first question, assign it to Dele Alake.
Okay.
And the second question, assigned to Nasiru El-Rufai. And third question, assigned to Ben Ayade.
All right, so can we have microphone coming in the front? And the first question is about blood oil. Oil. There, this gentleman. There. Yeah, El-Rufai, I can see him. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Security, Nasiru El-Rufai.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Now, the issue of oil theft in Nigeria is as deep-seated, and it's been long-standing. It's been there. It's not a new development, as we all know. It's been there for decades, and then we discover the various dimensions daily. Now, the incoming administration, by the grace of God, of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has devised some novelties in terms of strategies. First of all, to combat oil theft is tied to the security situation of Nigeria. Now, the questioner has linked it with connivance with the security agencies. Now, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration has a three-pronged approach to this. In terms of regenerating, revamping, and recalibrating the security equipment, technology, that's one. The human angle, in terms of the size of the security too. Today, we have over 200 million people, and there's no way the current strength of our security agencies can adequately cope with the gargantuan and enormous problems of security, securing lives and property. So the personnel of all the security or coercive agencies will be increased to cope with the large population of Nigeria. That's another dimension. The third dimension is really employing state-of-the-art technology like drones. We know today that there is, in terms of kidnapping, in terms of even identify the oil theft and the oil pipelines, the illegal pipelines that have been rigged, that have been embedded in the ground for years. You cannot but employ technology like drones to pinpoint the actual spots where these things are. And this has already started. The current administration actually is making very good strides in this respect. They've been unearthing and discovering and arresting, apprehending the culprits in charge of all. So this will be intensified. It will continue and actually be taken to a higher level, such that in the first 6 months of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, oil theft will not only be reduced tremendously, the goal is to stop it in its entirety. I think that's all.
Excuse me. That does not mean a departure from the present administration. The classification, a theft and a receiver exists. So you have to classify the receiver as taking blood money.
So, Governor El-Rufai, please, go ahead.
Your Excellencies, my friend, Mr. Alex Vines, ladies and gentlemen. Security has been a big issue in Nigeria in the last few years, and that has affected not only rural economies, but agricultural production, commerce, and everything else. The Bola Tinubu administration will address these challenges or whatever remains of it after the efforts of this administration in at least 3 ways. First, policing. Nigeria has about 300,000 policemen for a population of over 200 million. We need at least twice that number. That will be achieved by amending the Constitution so that policing can be at federal, state, and even at community levels. With increased security footprint, there will be less and less of criminal activity. The second step is to look at our armed forces and security architecture. Nigerian armed forces are not more than 200,000 in size, the Army, Navy, the Air Force. While some countries are even looking at a space military, we are struggling with just less than 200,000 members of the armed forces for a country with a population of 200 million plus. The numbers, the equipment, the skills, and the training of the armed forces will be scaled up, will be increased rapidly to meet the asymmetric nature of the security challenges that we face. Because today, our armed forces are not fighting with other countries, they are fighting with non-state actors, and the doctrine, the training, the numbers must change. And the Bola Tinubu administration already has a blueprint which is embedded in our action plan to address this. We'll scale up the numbers of the armed forces, we'll ramp up not only the numbers, but the training and equipment. In Nigeria, in 1967, the total size of the Nigerian army was only 10,000. Because of the civil war, within a year, we ramped it up to 250,000. So it can be done. And what we are facing in Nigeria today, banditry, terrorism, separatism, and oil theft requires a new approach towards security, enhancing the numbers, providing enhanced technology, and collaborating with the rest of the world to ensure that our country is not only internally safe, but not a threat to our neighbors. Thirdly, the issue of proliferation of small arms. Following the collapse of Libya due to no fault of ours, will have to be addressed through collaboration with countries like Mali, Niger, Sudan, and Chad, and so on and so forth. This we have already started, but this will be deepened and broadened under the leadership of a new security team under the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration by the special grace of God. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a third question on education and youth, of which we have got about 30 questions on this that have come in, including from Mariam Haruna. So, Mr. Tinubu, maybe you'd like to answer that question.
I would love to do so.
Yeah.
Youths are part of today, but they are the greatest asset for tomorrow. We need to prepare them from now, from our all-inclusive government. The youth has been part of that. I want the governor of Lagos State to stand up. Yes, it's a youth. It's driving the 5th largest economy in Africa today, and the transformative government of our legacy, my own personal legacy. Yes, the education system is to change. We overhaul it. Tinker with some areas with the philosophy that no one will be left behind. There will be student loan for all the students. We are going to We are going to reform the Almajiri system. We are equally going to build additional schools and recruit more teachers and train them well. And they teach them the opportunity to govern. Give them that opportunity. Broadband, technology hubs, and so on and so forth will be established that youth can even develop technology languages on their own and make a better 21st century approach to governance in Nigeria.
Okay, we're having another round of questions. So I start with the lady there. You, yes. Please tell us who you are and keep your... No, it's the lady behind you. I'm so sorry.
My name is Bola Mariam Adewale, Nigerian in diaspora of over 40 years. I know we have remittances over 30 billion remitted to Nigeria from worldwide every year. And I do appreciate that the leaders, they do come every electoral cycle to speak to us in diaspora, but we can't vote. Is there any plans you have, sir, with regards to diaspora voting?
Thank you so much. Good question. So the lady just here, you, madam, yes. Please go ahead. Yes, this lady. Yeah.
Hello. Louise Doas from AFP News Agency. I cover Nigeria. I'm based in Abuja. I have two quick questions.
No, one, please.
One? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my question is, what exact steps will you take in your first year in administration to reduce unemployment rate, and in which sectors will you create jobs?
Okay, so that's the second question on reducing employment. And the gentleman just there, we will be coming back another round. Yes, you, sir. Go ahead.
Excellency, John Cookson, Arise News. You spent a long time today talking about the problems that Nigeria has, but you've been an integral part of the government for the last 2 terms. Why should people vote for you? Why are you a fit and proper person to be president?
Thank you very much. So the question was, you've served 2 terms in this government. So why should you be now elected as president? You've done your time in government. And then we have the question on remittances stroke, how can the diaspora vote? And then the question from Agence France Presse on how you're going to get employment up, how you're going to get economic growth. Those are the 3 questions.
Well, the same method. We call on Wale Edun to answer the
first question, is it?
Yes, first question.
Why diaspora can't vote? Can we have a microphone, please, coming here? No? Oh.
That's really, Alex, with the greatest respect to the person who asked that question. That's a question for the gentleman who's coming to you in January, the chairman of INEC. I don't think it's for him to answer.
Okay. Well, that's the answer then. Good.
But definitely he doesn't have an objection.
No,
but let's just have matter. It's a constitutional matter. But please, let's let Mr. Tinubu. He's the main speaker.
Okay, I think it was El-Rufai last night that mentioned that diaspora voters are entitled to voting. If you make contribution to the economy with remittances that you have been making, your right to vote should not be abrogated, but promoted. However, we are still building confidence in our democratic and voting system. INEC is still yet to assure us during this election that electronic transmission, the technology being used for accreditation, and the total vote count is reliable, dependable, and assuring in our democratic process before we introduce a complicated element of mail-in ballots and so on.
So, please. So my message is this conversation will be continued on 17th of January. We have Professor Yakubu here from INEC. Please come back and have a discussion with him. Second question, the one on economic growth and reducing unemployment. Please, sir, the microphone is just there for you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As our presidential candidate said in his speech, his aim is to increase economic growth. He talked about getting at least 7% growth, because that in 10 years will help to double GDP growth. And the key to his policy for increasing economic growth, achieving rapid growth, is to enable the private sector to make the investments that will increase productivity, grow the economy, create the jobs, and reduce poverty. That's the trajectory. And in particular, he's going to implement both, as he mentioned, the monetary and fiscal policies that will free up the space for private investment, particularly in infrastructure, and also through the promotion of agro-allied industrial processing zones. It is in agriculture in particular where the jobs will be created that will enable not just growth, but inclusive growth that provides enough employment opportunities that will lead to reduction of poverty. So the Tinubu administration is essentially all about private sector-driven economic growth. And foreign direct investment will also be a key element of that process. That's the objective of the administration, and that's what they intend to achieve through the economic policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And there was the third question from Arise News on that you've served 2 terms, Mr. Tinubu, already associated with government. Why should you be president, I guess, is the question that was asked.
I guess my name is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the current president is Muhammadu Buhari. And there's nowhere in the Constitution that says, a current administration cannot be a continuity in their own ways. It doesn't remove me from adaptation to my own economic philosophy and developmental program. I did it in Lagos. I converted the greatest liability threatening the environment and Lagos existence to asset of magnitude value. I've employed various hands in Lagos, whether you are from Lagos or not. I've encouraged private investment in Lagos more than any other part of the country. In fact, beating the federal government before we took over the reign of the regime. Vision, courage, and can-do attitude of an individual is self-given. And I believe I've earned that throughout the country.
So this may well be the last round of questions because the clock may defeat us. So the gentleman right at the back there, you, sir? Yes? Go ahead. First question.
Thank you. My name is Ayo. I lead a social justice charity here in the UK. I want to ask, in 2018, when Prime Minister Theresa May signed a defense partnership with Nigeria, renewed again this year, many look at that and say it has produced no benefit for people up and down Nigeria. What changes would you be looking to make to that defense partnership arrangement to make it more effective for all Nigerians?
Thank you very much. Very clear. The lady right at the back there, you. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Welcome, sir.
Can you tell us your name, please, also?
My name is Priscilla Winkbo. I'm a freelance broadcast journalist. Sir, you've spoken a great deal about what you've done in Lagos, and yes, we're very aware of it, and you're a team player because you're able to include everybody else, and we appreciate your team here today, and they're very capable, and we can see that they have the capacity and the capability. However, sir, you are running for president, and as Nigerians, we would very much like to hear from you because we believe the office of the president, if voted in, will be you and not your team per se. So on that note, sir, if I may, we haven't seen you engage with Nigerians on a one-to-one interview or at any of the live programs that has been going on. And furthermore, there are issues at the moment running with regards to your identity, with regards to your age. So I wonder if you could provide some clarity on the issues of your identity and age, and also let us know when we can engage with you one-on-one in an interview, hear from you directly as the office holder. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take two more, one from this row, one for that, and we've finished. You, sir, there. Yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Can we be quiet, please?
Your Excellency, Dr. Alex, my name is Otumba Eric Ayola. I'm the Secretary of the PSA UK, Progressive Solidarity for Ashiwaju. My question to you, Your Excellency, sir, is about the health sector. We know that we're suffering a great deal in Nigeria as per health. So, sir, how do you intend to do two things? One, uplift the provision of health in Nigeria, and secondly, how do we stop the brain drain of our best doctors, nurses escaping Japa to the UK or anywhere else? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we'll take one more and that's it. We had many questions online about health also, and what a Tinubu administration would do about health. So this is going to be very difficult for me. So the gentleman there, yes, you, sir. We're going to have a microphone coming to you. This is the final question. Yeah, there. Please, go ahead.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, my name is EJ Balangalari.
Please.
Mr. President, my name is EJ Balangalari, a member of the APC from Adamawa State. Your two opponents, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has prided himself as a unifier, but has failed to unify his party. And the other one, I will not mention his name, is running his campaign on religion. After May 29th, how do you intend to unify Nigeria, and what should we expect your cabinet to look like?
Thank you very much. So you have 4 questions there, which were, how are you going to unify Nigeria after elections? That's the final one. Health, what are your health policies for Nigeria if you become president? The other one was the lady, I forget your name. Priscilla asked about, are you going to do one-to-ones? And also there's speculation about a number of issues around yourself. I guess I've read on the internet about health and various things. People are asking questions. And then there was the final question about that the UK-Nigeria defence partnership doesn't seem to have delivered. What would you like to see, a bilateral defence arrangement with the United Kingdom? How could it help Nigeria? Those were the questions.
Okay, I would still want to adopt some of the method I did to show the the team and the capacity that we have. The woman leader for APC can answer the question on the health, I believe. That personal question, I will leave it to the last contribution.
Okay. So Priscilla, you'll get answered last of all.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
And
go ahead, please, on health. Let's move ahead.
And then we'll call on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Bajabi Amila, to contribute on this, on the second question.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to very clearly state that the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, when voted into power, is really very specific on achieving universal health coverage through certain indices, which we will be working at as a government. His Excellency has clearly stated that first, we need to fix the health system of Nigeria and improve on what is there already, providing the right environment in terms of the pay, in terms of the engagement, in terms of training of health workers, improving of the facilities, that's the infrastructure that we need to give Nigeria quality healthcare services. More importantly is the fact that we want to move into a system where we can make our primary healthcare more functional. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also concerned in providing access for healthcare to everyone. He's going to do this by ensuring that he provides free healthcare for pregnant women and children under 5, and ensure that everyone has a mandatory contribution to our health insurance scheme. Beyond this, Nigeria has been more dependent on importing drugs from outside the country, vaccines from outside the country. He is going to also go into health manufacturing, where we'll produce the essential medicines that Nigerians can consume. But most importantly is the fact that he would look into the issue of brain drain and turn it around to become brain gain for Nigeria. All of us seated here, we have many doctors, many experts outside Nigeria, and that's why he's here today in the diaspora to interact with you. He would attract all of this brain down into specialist hospitals that will be built across the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. That way, we can give quality healthcare to Nigerians and equally prepare for the next pandemic if it ever happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And then we had the Speaker. Where is he? There he is.
If only to pronounce your name right. No, go ahead.
Gabajab Mayala.
Just call me Baja. That's fine. What was the question, please?
The Defense Pact.
Oh, yeah. The Defense Pact with Nigeria.
Yeah.
Well, let me very quickly say this. Defense pacts are many. There's bilateral and there's multilateral. And it's not just the UK that has signed a defense pact with Nigeria. I'm not sure what indices or the measurements that were used to say it has proven nothing. If that defense pact was signed in 2018, we're now in 2022. I think it will take the most ingenious person to say that there has not been a trajectory or change between what we had in 2018 in terms of flags being hoisted in various local governments and what we have now. I think more important in terms of defense pacts, it's a defense pact with the United States and other countries, apart from the UK as well. So I call it a multilateral defense pact. We have the Leahy Act in America, which we need to look into, which actually deprives Nigeria and some other countries of utilizing armaments that are manufactured in the United States. This is based on human rights records. But you cannot on one hand condemn terrorism, and on the other hand make it difficult for Nigeria to get arms from those countries. It's a no-brainer. That's what we're going to be going around in circles. So we're looking towards, and Asiwaju will be looking towards, and this is a matter that is dear to his heart, because
Without security, security is the bedrock. You can't actually build something on nothing. You have to secure the country first. So that's an area that this administration is looking at very, very seriously. And in terms of all the arms of government, defense sectors, communicating with themselves as opposed to acting in silos is one area that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed is looking forward to in his administration. And I just want to use this opportunity to say this. There's going to be a lot of intersection between all the candidates and their programs and their manifestos. And you're left with only one thing. When everybody's addressing the same thing and more or less saying the same thing, obviously following the lead of Asiwaju, you're left with one thing. And that's what happens all over the world. A candidate runs on his records. So we are left with a track record of all the candidates that are running. And somebody's track record is there for all to see. It's there. Some people may not want to hear about Lagos, but it is what it is. He's done it for 8 years. He continues to do it in Lagos and everywhere else that he touches. So that is all we can depend on. Not speculation, I will do. You have before you a thinker and a doer. You have his records before you. Unless, of course, a candidate does not have a record to run on, or his record is not good, then you begin to character assassinate, begin to speak to personalities that are neither here nor there and obviously not true, and you avoid and run away from the issues. Let's make it about the issues. Thank you.
And finally, you do have the question from Priscilla at the back there.
Priscilla, thank you very much for the question. It's inquisitive. But at the time of birth, I was dated March 29, 1952, and the family record. I didn't think then, that day, I've determined to be, or decided to be, a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not even that I will go to politics. I've a very good exposure in life. My record is consistent. And the school and the university, they question. They now convinced that they wasted their money and their time. The record is there. The transcript is there. So in March 1952, I'm not claiming another father. I am Tinubu and Tinubu proper. If they want a DNA, they could as well require for one. One of them has been even accused of not being a Nigerian citizen. I didn't touch that area. Yes. Equally, it remains the same. Deloitte, Chicago State University, where I graduated, has attested to that. Now I can announce that I've received my original replacement degree certificate from them. The Deloitte trained me as an accounting firm. Mobile has attested to my record, a standing record. I got to the pinnacle of my career. And the private sector, who among them can brag about it? Now, yes, you want to wrestle with the pig, you got to live with the dirt. That's what I'm doing. I go into politics knowing fully well that it's a muddy water. Smog will come. you will have to live with the dirt and make sure you are upright to finish the job. Thank you. Any part of it that I didn't answer? That?
One-to-one conversations.
One-to-one conversation. Excuse me.
Please, be quiet.
Why? I see myself as a marketable individual. Want to use me to make money, and I'm saying no.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Can we show the customary appreciation of a speaker at Chatham House?